Almost 700 kilometers off the east coast lies Jeffreys Bay. It is renowned as one of the best right-hand point breaks in the world. We arrived in Jeffreys Bay without a moment to spare. As we pulled into town, the sun was setting over the hills to the west, and we could see the first lines of our new swell gently caressing the flawless point. For our trip to Jeffreys Bay, Twiggy was kind enough to arrange for us to stay at his aunt's house right on the point overlooking the lineup.
This is the view that I've been waking up with every morning since we've been in J Bay. Can't really ask for much more than to lift your head up and see perfect waves. I sprained my ankle pretty badly in Porto Escondido right before I came to South Africa. It's an injury that takes about 6 weeks to heal. So I haven't been able to surf since I've been here, which has been frustrating because there's been some great days, but I've been shooting a lot of photographs. That's a hobby of mine and also a bit of a job as well. I've been staying in the wooden house up here on this whole compound. It's Twiggy's aunt's place, and it's been a great spot to stay for the last week. Got the $1 million view, that's for sure.
We were awake in the dark the following morning in hopes of getting the first waves of the day without anybody out. As the first rays of light appeared over the horizon, we couldn't believe our eyes. Swell lines stretched as far as we could see, and endless waves poured down the point with not a drop of water out of place. We wasted no time in sitting up and running out the front door and into the water.
With no rest before me, if the sun don't stop its burning rays, it will surely leave its mark. It's always here. Fortunes are still at our ease, so don't be long, just 'cause your heartaches are gone. Close to your heart, like the
Greg and Twiggy were getting really good waves. Twiggy finds the waves out here that have the most tube time on them, and he's a tube master. He never falls.
Fortunate enough to show up shortly after the competition finished and lay witness to some of the world's best surfers on one of the world's best waves. Of the leftover touring pros, it was 8-time world champion Kelly Slater who was the standout. His progressive and athletic surfing seemed unmatched by any of the other surfers in the water.
Along the rail,
By the end of the swell, we had all agreed that in just 5 days of surfing, we probably had more barrels and did more turns than the entire last year combined. We finished off the perfect week of surfing with a visit to one of the local reserves, where we got to see a whole variety of the continent's wildest animals. The country of Indonesia has become one of the world's most popular surfing destinations. With its warm climate, friendly people, rich culture, and endless potential for waves, it has been attracting surfers from around the globe for over 3 decades. A few years ago, Rusty made a trip to Indo. He returned home sharing many stories of perfect waves, empty lineups, and warm water. After spending 2 months in the cold climate of South Africa, the temptations his stories created became too much. In a last-minute decision, Twiggy and I boarded a flight for Indo in search of our own tropical perfection. Fortunately, Rusty couldn't make it this time. His ankle was still hurt and he was unable to surf. He figured it would be better to head home and rest it, so we said our goodbyes and parted ways. As the plane landed, we passed over the ocean. Out our windows, we got our first glimpse of Indonesian perfection as we watched a series of waves peeling down a reef pass with nobody around. We arrived in Bali, the tourist capital of Indonesia, and quickly jumped on another flight to the more remote island of Sumbawa. It was tough to ignore this wave, but we were on a mission following rumors of another wave. A perfect peak, offering amazing tubes going both left and right, and minimal crowds. We wasted no time in hiring a local taxi, or a bimo as they call them in Indonesia, and headed out in search of our own wave. After a few hours on a sketchy road through the jungle, we arrived at our destination and found a place to stay right in front of the break. It must have been built with surfers in mind, as it seemed to have a perfect view of the lineup no matter where you sat. Twiggy was dying to get into the water and wasted no time paddling out to the wave. The waves were small and the tide was very low, making the waves break nearly on dry reef. I opted to hang back and watch for a second before paddling out myself. My decision proved to be a smart one, as Twiggy returned to the shore only a few moments later with a long gash on the top of his head.
Tried to pull into a barrel, got clipped, went over the falls, and the board hit me in the head.
Everywhere I travel, I bring a fairly extensive amount of first aid supplies, but after a closer examination, it seemed as though the gash from poor Twig's head was going to need a few stitches, and that equipment I did not have. In remote parts of the world, it's sometimes hard to find proper medical attention as resources are limited. With a little bit of luck, we were able to track down a local doctor in a nearby town who was able to close the hole in Twiggy's head. It's not the first time I've been to the hospital with Twiggy. I think it was last winter we were towing Dungeons and he hit the bottom, I think he hit the bottom or something, but the compression of the wave or whatever nearly knocked him unconscious, and when he came up he was pretty freaked out and was able to grab him, and he actually had amnesia for the next 2 days. He couldn't remember anything. So as soon as we got to went in straight after that back to the harbor, he kept asking, where am I, what happened, and like within 5 minutes we knew something was really wrong with him, and then the whole ride to the hospital just kept asking the same questions over and over again. What are we doing? Why aren't we surfing? And had to stay with I didn't actually stay with him overnight, but he was in the hospital for 2 days as they were watching him. So nothing new for this guy. He's been through battle and usually comes out the other end okay. The following morning we awoke to a new swell. It seemed as though Twiggy was our sacrificial lamb because the waves were absolutely perfect. I surfed the entire day, sharing the lineup with no more than 2 or 3 locals. It was inspirational to watch these kids and how enthusiastic they were about surfing. Of this wave were true. It was an absolutely perfect peak barreling in both directions, and the crowd seemed to be non-existent. As the day progressed, the tide fell out, and the wave once again became dangerously shallow. Thoughts of Twiggy's bloody head ran through my mind as I finished nearly every wave onto dry reef. One simple mistake would mean certain conflict with the razor-sharp reef below. With each successive wave, I tried to push myself a little further, doing my best to get as far back in the tube as possible. And then, I went a little too far. Unable to set my line and regain speed, I was quickly swallowed by the wave and immediately driven straight to the bottom. My session was over. Yeah, it was a pretty fun session, and then you start to get a little cocky sometimes, and I had the one that kind of fell right on the takeoff, which is usually the shallowest spot, and yeah, ended up getting rushed over the reef pretty good. We are giving the grand tour of our ferry from Bali to Lombok. This is economy class, smoking lounge here, in case you can't notice. We'll move on in here to the middle class passengers. Some of them have